Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on Common Chat this morning. It is our 10 o'clock morning show. I'm, of course, with Psychic Solana Sherry, also known as my mom. But we're gonna get started this morning, on a couple of things, guys. First of all, let's start with one fun topic, the politics. We have the Iowa caucus coming. Now, I want everybody to kind of stay a little on top of your game here. Now, whether you're political or not, because I'm not really political, but I do like to watch this event unfold itself because we've been watching the poll numbers. We've been watching Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders go neck and neck for the Democratic Party. We've been watching Donald Trump, of course, be as conspiracy-filled as you can be and freaking nuts. And then I'm going to lead into the topic of karma based on this, and I want Solana to kind of follow suit with this because it goes hand in hand. And what I mean by that is we kind of relish in the things that we develop. We reap what we sow, if you will. And I think the definition of karma, for what it's worth, has definitely gone downhill a little bit. It's lost track, it's lost its traction, it's not what it used to be. So when I go back into Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, and I want you to start realizing how manipulated and how controlled these environments are. Let's go with Hillary Clinton, for instance. I think she's a great person. Her husband did a great job in office. I was a kid when he was president of the United States, but at the same time, I acknowledge the good things that came from his presidency and a lot of the things that unfolded in an unfortunate way for him, yet he almost got impeached for something that most common men in this world freaking do. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that it's okay, because it's not. You still need to be of purity and of spirit and of love and do what is right or wrong based on a universal law. But going back into it, look at where his wife's at. And let's be honest here, without getting into too much depth, let's just go off of what's on the news coverage. Hillary Clinton is under a criminal investigation, a federal criminal investigation. She has classified documents on her email, personal email account, that should not be there in the first place. She should be charged with treason and other things, technically. Now, she didn't give a guy a blowjob, so okay, well, here we go. It's not that big of a deal. It's only classified personal emails. So
I was muted. Oh my God, yeah. It's just, oh my God, yeah. It's do as I say, not as I do. Okay, I mean that's just the way the world has ended up working, and I think it's because for so long, people have thought that they're here to learn, right? I mean, if they have something happen, then they blame a past life, or if they're sick, then they blame a bad thought. I mean, we've gotten a little OCD about karma. you
yeah,
know,
and it's true because
and it's funny because we had decided to do this topic days ago. I mean, Spirit had me write that little. My arms are always open. I mean, my doors are always open. Arms are open too. But and so we decided to do this, and just like I said last Sunday during our show, that I wanted you to pay attention to the way your week was going, just the energy around you, and then I wanted you to try and do the exercise of how in that moment when you recognize that you heal in that moment and you stop those thoughts and put yourself in a better mood and go on with your day, because that always happens. Synchronicity is the key. I mean, there are several people who have written books about the synchronicity key, because it's definitely shows you the way, and it gives you those heads up. And so and this week unfolds the same way. It's like when we talk about karma, everybody gets so defensive, because they don't want to hold a bad karma. That no, that's like smoking a cigarette to some people. That's bad.
well,
but at the same time, where they don't want those bad karmas and stuff, they don't stop. It's like someone who's constantly jabbing you and apologizing for it, and eventually that apology becomes hollow, because you've taken away any integrity from it. You've taken any way self-respect from it.
Well, having that said, I think a lot of people use karma as a security blanket too. In their way, it makes them feel like they have been able to hit back or have a sense of revenge without actually committing an action. Mm-hmm. So, say for instance, something bad has happened to them. It's okay. Karma will take care of them.
Right.
Well, and here's the controversial part is the word karma itself originated, and don't hold me to this because I'm not like looking at definitions here or looking at the history of it, but for me anyways, karma was a reap what you sow type of mentality, not a you're going to get what you deserve.
Because now, that's an individual perception.
I have always been somebody that has suffered from instant karma, if you will. Now, it's because I'm always connected, and we've hit it on topics before in the past where, I am in a constant prayer. I look at everything as a spiritual happening, and so for me, yes, instant karma is a real thing in reality, meaning that if I'm of a positivity or a negativity or of a neutral energetic level, then things happen to me instantaneously within that realm. Mm-hmm. So
cause and effect, dude.
It's not, it's cause and effect, exactly. And that's what karma truly is cause and effect. You are in the bubble of energy that you decide to be in, and bad things, good things happen inside that bubble because you're there.
Right.
Because of the actions, because of the thoughts that you've had. But it's not a you're not being reprimanded. Karma is not a sense of retaliation. It's not a sense of consequence. It's not a sense of a get back at you. It's not a punishment. And that's what people look at it as. They look at karma as a punishment. And
karma's gonna get you.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I started with the whole political caucus, obviously that's happening right now. We got all the political presidential candidates right now speaking out at everybody, trying to sway the caucus one way or the next. But it's really a distraction because it's rigged. It really is. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously rigged because, let's look at it, like for real. Now, what I'm curious to see, and this is just be like an experiment between you and I and anybody that's a part of this, Donald Trump didn't attend the last presidential debate. Right. And he barely just made it to Iowa within the last 12 hours to actually talk. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen with the Republican caucus. Is it going to be Donald Trump? Is it going to be Ted Cruz? Is it going to be Rubio? I'm really curious as to what's going to happen in the Republican. I can tell you that in my gut, no matter what they say about neck and neck between Bernie and Hillary, Hillary's going to be it. Hillary's been the chosen one for the last eon. They needed her to be Secretary of State for Obama's administration, so that's why it worked out the way that it did, and that's my personal opinion. And now that it's time for her to run for president, we just had our first black president. Now they're going to look for our first woman president. It's going to start lining up.
And he wants to head up the United Nations now. So, and the more people he has in office backing him with individual countries, will vote for him to be the head of the UN. That's where Obama's headed. So, because he can't, be in office again unless he claims himself to be dictator, which some of us have said that's where he's headed. But the karma, this is why, and I'm glad you started with the political party because they are perfect example. Karma don't work for everybody, all right? Because good things happen to bad people.
Yeah.
What karma is that? Come on, people, think about it. Let's use your logic. Because bad things happen to you, it's all about how you're just this horrible person in another lifetime. How you must have cheated on your wife or beat her or, whatever. And it's like, wait a minute. If that's true, then how can we be witness to the last 50 years? Well, we have been witness. I have been actual physical witness to the happenings and going on and seeing how they manipulate and mess with everybody's intelligence, if you will, and sway us. And it's like the magician's act, They're showing you over here, but they are doing all kinds of stuff over here with their left hand. That's true. What's that? What's that if it's karma?
No, it's true. I grew up started thinking, and it's easy to get into that realm of thinking that it's a sense of punishment. It's easy, because I would
Sure.
think something bad, and then something bad would happen to me. So it's easy to think, hey, that's my slap on the wrist for doing something wrong, or vice versa. When you give, or tithe, and I'm going to get into tithing because I think this is the important part here. This is where karma is actually being utilized in religious corporate structure. But so when you think something good or do something good or you give, they say you get back, right? So the karma goes both ways. So it's either going to be an award or reward, or it's going to be a punishment. Which one is it going to be? And I think that getting stuck in that circulation of how karma exists is important to acknowledge the fact that it is not a reward or a punishment program that is set by the universe. It is a reap what you sow, cause and effect. And so for anybody that wants to argue the reality of cause and effect, well, karma is most people that argue cause and effect lean on karma and think, no, the universe is just handling it. Well, there's some truth to that. Yeah, the universe has its way of circulating things. Our thoughts have no gravity. So gravity, when you push something forward, it keeps going forward until it gets knocked out of the way, right? Well, karma is the same way. So if you do something good, it tends to keep good things happen. Unless something's getting ready to knock you out of the way,
I
that's
was gonna
negative.
say, yeah, a lot
So
of us
it's
say that we are always in that mode of, just it's
yeah,
a good intention.
it needs to be.
Everything I do is got that good intention behind it, and
Yeah,
I still have stuff that just gets thrown in my way.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, and I have somebody that I know. Well, I don't want to put anybody on blast since this is a public thing, but there's somebody that I know in my life that I don't really know him on a personal level, but I've known him well enough to know that this guy is crooked. Very, very, very crooked. I watched him climb the ladder, get high ranking, get reward after reward after reward, yet cheat his way to the very top. And then and let me just put it out there like, okay, this guy is bad. I know bad things are going to happen to him. I've seen him do things that are absolutely horrible that I know I couldn't do. Yet he has done it, and nothing that I can see has been reprimanded on his part. Now, not to say that something underlying hasn't happened, because I'm sure there has, and he's the kind of guy that won't tell you that something wrong is happening. But he is the kind of person that is just puts himself before others, consistently wants to throw anybody he can under the bus to gain whatever level it is that he's trying to obtain. Yet I'm seeing him get rewarded. Like this guy has everything he wants materialistic wise, and his uncle's a preacher. Okay, so he goes to church every Sunday. He worships. He will sit there and tell you that you need to tithe your 10% every single week. Um, Now, this is where, again, just like karma, I'm kind of in between. I think that if you're going to support a worship type thing, you need to contribute. Okay, but I don't think it needs to be 10%. I don't think it needs to be X amount. I don't think that, excuse me, I don't think that it needs to be anything that is set for you that you need to support, but I do think that you need to contribute to something that you're going to be a part of. But his mindset is he's paying for his um, yeah, I don't know how else to put it. He's paying for
I
the negativity things to be taken care of in his life. But because he goes to church every Sunday, and because he doesn't get reprimanded for the bad things that he does, but yet he gives his 10%, he thinks he's balanced. And I
Mhm.
think that that's the label and that's the definition that most people need to understand is if karma truly existed in the way that people want to say that it did, well, this guy would have been struck down by lightning, believe me, 15
Mhm.
different times, 15 different ways, and wouldn't be able to breathe today because I've seen him do some horrible things. Okay, and I mean that on a personal level, not necessarily any other level.
Right. Right.
What the heck?
Well, that's what I'm talking about, though, is there is a supernatural force, if you want to call it by its real name, because we tend to want to label everything. Have you seen that video going around Facebook where it starts out with, I am a black man, but he was labeled that way from birth. He was taught those labels, and everybody around him was taught their labels. We're all taught our labels. And so anyway, it starts setting up this idea, for me anyway, that it's a supernatural force that is behind the events on this planet. And if you feed that supernatural force, well, that's kind of like, yeah, you're gonna get what you want, kind of deal. The cause and effect works so intricately for them, and that is why they go to the church, they do the tithing, they keep that ritual going, and that's why it's a ritual. Something that you continue. And we are rich in tradition, if nothing else on this planet. And that's what's kept the powers that be in control, is because they are using a supernatural force, and which is available to all of us, but some of us want to see it as signing a deal with the devil. You know what I mean? Like, they can have that, that attitude and that mentality. They can go do whatever they want, but as long as they do this, because you're keeping up with that agreement. And here's what happens for me in my life, though. It's like when I'm going and getting involved with other people and doing other things, it's like I'm being pulled in what I want to call a negative way. But my cause and effect keeps going, right? Because I'm good intention. My tithing happens to me, to my family. I have to put myself and everything around me first, and then I help as I can. I take it out and do everything I can. I do all kinds of free online psychic readings and, just all kinds of stuff, for the purpose of the cause and effect. And so no matter what happens, it's like I'm going through my day, and it's like God sees, whoa, oh, look what's fixing to happen. Look what they're trying to do. Look where they're pulling her now. And then they come around. And say, okay, well, since they're doing that, we're going to use that to our advantage, and we're going to have this happen to her so that she'll come out like this, right? That's the way it works, as far as no matter what happens, because we're not the only one. I'm not the only one on this planet trying to, work things out and balance out my energy. There's all kinds of stuff going on externally around me. And so it's like we have to start getting into that cause and effect belief that, as long as we're smiling, we're winning. We don't have to keep up with the Joneses. Again, that's another energy that I think that we're all feeding into, another label. We all have to have the latest technology and the gadgets. We all got to go do that shopping. And it's gotten even worse now because we're online. But I just wanted to say real quick, because I'm going to read this little thing here, because this is how I feel like. It's like, if we get caught up in this, karma, if we get caught up in these labels, that's what keeps us beholden to the supernatural forces that are working here. Those are their labels. They're theirs. They came up with them. Man came up with all kinds of stories and labels and discriminations and prejudice to keep us all separated. And yet they work it for themselves and get whatever they want, no matter how they act. Like I said, good things happen to bad people. But I care little in the existence of heaven or hell. Self-respect does not allow me to guide my acts with an eye towards heavenly salvation or hellish punishment. I pursue the good in life because it is beautiful and attracts me, and shun the bad because it is ugly and repulsive. All our acts should originate from the spring of unselfish love, whether there be a continuation after death or not. Because it's here and now, cause and effect. What am I doing in this moment? How am I reacting and responding to everybody around me? Because people get all caught up in stuff. We got to get out of the idea that we're here for a lesson, and we're here because the future is always changing. We know this when we do psychic readings. We can tell somebody, well, this and this and this is going to, this is what they're showing me, but I tell everybody, but you can change that. If you don't like what I've said, the outcome is up to you. You have cause and effect that can change things. The future is forever changing. So when we come in, as Chris is saying in here, what if karma is more like, people's chart, where it's all predestined? Well, yes, when we come in, again, we come in like we go into any situation with the intention of, right, to do this. This is what I want to do. Maybe I can find me some other people that want to do it with me. And so we all go and try and do it, right? Kind of like a predestined thing. We know we're going to go try do this. We also know about the blocks. We know about the distractions. We know that all these different things can happen, because again, my cause and effect is mine. Your cause and effect is yours. I can't control yours, so that's how, cause and effect works.
Yeah, you can't control theirs, but you can influence,
oh,
and you can intersect, and you can create obstacles and vice versa. You can carry about your day, and I mean, I can't tell you how many days I'm like, man, today is a great freaking day. I feel blessed today. Like today is things are going good for me in my life, and then wham, what the fuck, like I was just feeling great, and now I just got hit with all this negativity, and I feel depressed, and I feel crazy, I feel down.
There's other
You
people
know,
out there.
because gosh, let me tell you, opposites attract, right? We have yin and yang. So if God forbid you feel really positive and you feel like things are going on the right track, and then spam, someone slaps you with the, oh, hell no, you can't be feeling that way. I don't feel that way today. I'm going to bring you down to my level. Or vice versa. How many days have you had where you've been so negative and down and sad or depressed, and then somebody comes in your life to uplift you and bring you to the light? So there's so many different ways to understand the cause and effect on yourself. By yourself is dangerous, but you also have your obstacles and other people that come in and just boom, can either influence you negatively or positively. And cause and effect is powerful. I think that's one of the craziest things about the energy movement that's happening all around us, and the karma, if you will, because that label will never go away. We'll never get rid of the label karma. What we need to try to do is change everybody's perspective of what karma truly is, and understanding that it's not up just to the universe to create or punish or make things what they are. It's up to you to have your cause and effect, and to understand that only you walk in your shoes. Only you can walk forward on the path that you're on. It's up to you on whether or not you decide you want to clear the path ahead of you, walk around obstacles. If you're aware of other things that are outside your path that can influence your path, that's karma, guys. That's what it is. That's what you have to understand, that you kind of reap what you sow.
But in this moment, not because of a past life, not because of a past thought, but in this moment, because again, I'm reaping what I sow, but at the same time, I'm dealing with what everybody else around me is sowing as well. I mean, that's the point, though, is to be able to get to the thought that it's all cause and effect. It's not about you personally. It's not a lesson for everybody. It's all predestined. We have choices to, continue that thought and continue on with that crap, or, to change it and say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, I'm backing away, choosing your battles.
That's the cool thing about understanding your own power within your own cause and effect, because if someone from outside your bubble, and I'm going to keep going back to that because you are inside your bubble, but if someone outside your bubble does exactly what I said, when you're in a positive, uplifting mood, it's up to you on whether or not you're going to actually let that affect you. Is someone else's cause going to affect you? If you're blind to it or not defensive towards it, then you can see that it is possible. Sorry, I thought my ringer was off. It's not off. But anyways, it's up to you on how you're going to allow things to affect you. So, if you're feeling righteous in your own self and you're feeling good about life and you're feeling positive, and you see or sense or feel something negative coming towards you to affect you in your positivity, acknowledge it. And I think that right there is one of the most powerful things you can do. It's probably one of your biggest defense systems is acknowledging something that's creating itself as an obstacle on the path you're trying to create. If you can acknowledge that something bad is trying to infiltrate or trying to create an obstacle, you can create defense mechanisms. So at a certain point, now it's your fault that you're allowing that effect to take over or influence you. If you're blind to it, ignorance is bliss, that's one thing. But still, even after you start to feel emotional or negative towards something that's happening and altering the way that you felt originally, you have some sense of responsibility here, and that's where people
feel that when we're like 5 years old, we start feeling that.
Exactly.
So, come on.
And then that's what I mean. So it's, if you have a sense of responsibility, and I think that's what people lean on karma for, because they start thinking karma gives them the ability to not have responsibility within action, whether it's someone else's cause and effect or their own. It's just karma, and that's just all there is to it. Karma's a bitch, right? No, that's not totally true, guys. You know, it's
karma's a bitch and then you die.
yeah, karma's a bitch and then you
You know,
die if you're ignorant to it. You know, sure.
exactly. Not
You
to
know,
karma, but let's start labeling. Let's,
yeah,
cause and effect. Be in this now. Be in this moment, right here, right now. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Am I going to respond? Am I going to take it off? Am I going to, whatever. Right
it's
now.
very true. That's what we need to remember is that we are responsible. We're responsible for our own actions and our own way of thinking, regardless of the events that are taking place. So if you're going to be cold-hearted about something, or you're going to be angry about something, regardless of the reasoning, you have a sense of responsibility in it, and you can flip it, you can change it. Is one of the reasons why I go back to fortune tellers. People that tell you that they can read the future. That's great. Reading the future is a possibility to a slight degree because the future hasn't quite happened yet. But let me tell you something. If you get a reading and somebody tells you, hey, in 2 days, and I'm just going to use this cliche of an example because we hear this all the time, but hey, don't go outside in 2 days because a bus will hit you. Well, there you go. There's a perfect example of how future telling is subjective. For one, you can change the future because it has not happened yet. So if someone tells you in a series of events that if this continues to happen, that could happen, you could change it. And the same thing happens whether the future is half a second from now or as it's happening, the millisecond, it's subjective. So if you see something coming, you see a bad day coming, you can change it. You don't have to reap what that day is going to sow for you. It is up to you on how you can change your perspective and manipulate the energy that's around you. And I think that's the most important part to remember. And this is why I think this topic, we were talking about this on Friday, karma, it's taken me a long time to get to this point in the karma sense because I've been one of those people that said, you know what, karma will take care of that person. I don't have to worry about it. And in a sense, that's true. If that person is doing bad things, technically speaking, bad things will occur. Now, that person that I was speaking about earlier, where this guy does the wrong thing, he spends a lot of energy in doing the wrong thing, trying to avoid doing the correct thing, yet gets rewarded time and time again, and now is in a place in life that we all wish we could be in, and it frustrates me because I've seen him do some very unethical things. I don't know what negativity he faces on a daily basis. So I can't sit here and say that he's not karmically hit or that he's not reaping in a negative way, but I can tell you that he's really good at making others around him not see it. And that's because that's what he is doing. He's manipulating his bubble. Okay, he is inside of his bubble. He is reaping what he sows. So he does the wrong thing, but at the same time has a defense mechanism to fend off any negative things that could come at him due to his actions. He's creating his own cause and effect and benefiting from it, yet developing a defense system to push off what we would call karma and things that you and I would justify as good karma or bad karma against him is not happening because he has developed a way of doing it. Now, I don't think he's doing it on purpose. He's just naturally this way, and I think that's something that we can all start to catch on to and start to realize that karma is not an ignorance is bliss type situation. It is an absolute.
He said he's not doing it intentionally. It's just happening that way for him. But his mindset is in his perspective is different than a lot of people because his father's a preacher.
Exactly.
And we all know that preachers' children are sometimes the worst, most evilest people.
And I don't know his family. I've never met his uncle. Never been to his church. And I never hear anybody talk about it. But I think it's time that we bring it to light and start making people realize again that, man, you are absolutely in charge of your life. You're in charge of the things that happen to you, whether they're good or bad.
I'm like ready to talk to you about something right now, real quick, because we all know. Just like I had y'all do that experiment last week, and Bryan, I have do his experiments all the time because this is the way he We were raised. I was raised. I raised my child. I raised my children, and with all this, supernatural knowledge that I have, I gave that to them as well. It helps perceptions. All right, it helps perspectives, but then they got to go out into the world and deal with everybody else's perception, perspectives, and energy. And so, while we want to say that we are in control of how and what and when, we're not. We have to see this as an energy play. Like I said, there is a supernatural force keeping things in the way they are. And we have that supernatural force played out in our lives every day on television, radio, through your cell phones, through your iPads, your tablets, all this technology, all this energy coming at you. And so you have to understand that energy play. And for those that are in churches, pastors, preachers, in that organization, in that business, understand the principle of that supernatural force. And that's why no matter what they do, they come out on top, because that's what is in control of this energy play that's going on this planet. Until we see the light, wake it up, and start really realizing what cause and effect means. Because it's not just about, what I'm doing in this moment, and it's not just about how I'm reacting to what you're doing, even though we're feeding that energy play constantly. It is a constant game, constant. And if you don't know the rules, you're going to suffer the consequences more than anybody. Because, again, we're all those little pawns. And if we don't see that, and I'm getting tired of being told that I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm getting tired of being told that I'm negative and that I'm feeding that negative energy because I'm talking about it. No, fuck y'all. I've been watching way too long, and I'm tired of all these labels. I'm tired of all this crap that keeps going on over and over and over and over again. People manipulating all the time. People harassing all the time. People going off all the time, and then sitting back going, what? The ones who, give you the hardest time and then turn around and say that you're giving them the hardest time, it's like, okay, why? If there's karma, if you believe you're a light worker, if you believe all this stuff is happening, well, then you got to know that there is some supernatural shit going on. And until you acknowledge that, this shit's just going to continue. And I'm just going to stay in my little hole because mess with this.
Well, and I think taking the subject to a higher level here, let's go above karma for a second here. We tap on karma all the time because karma is said on a daily basis by everybody, most people anyways. But there's something that we need to remember about what's going on here and what we do on a daily basis. We're enslaved. We're slaves to humanity right now. And, think about where our source comes from. Okay, think about your light being and who you are as a spiritual being and how free that may appear or feel to you before you come to this planet. But as a human, your vacation period, if you're lucky, is from the time of birth until you're about 15, 16 years old, and then reality starts setting in, whether it's an emotional reality or a financial reality.
I love that vacation time.
Yeah, well, it is, because, gosh, that transition into adulthood is tough,
Well, for a normal person, I'm sorry, it depends on what you're going through. I started growing up and having to go through those adult situations at 6 years old.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't get the vacation. I got to tell you, and I'm glad you said that, because that's what another thing has got to let you people see, that this cause and effect is what's happening. But at the same time, it's not about being here for a lesson, because I know people that are here that take no responsibility for their actions. And yet they have all the stuff that they need. Everything comes to them at ease, with ease, and no issues. So it's like there are different levels of things that are happening here. It's not just about you and me, and what we think, because there's people here on vacation that get to do whatever the heck they want to do and suffer no consequences and still get whatever they need.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff going on here. It's many levels of awareness, and we got to come to that realization. We do not know it all. Every time I think I know it all, I get told something new. And thank you, Mona. I love my Cracker Barrel cup.
Mm-hmm. I I think this has been a great conversation. Just because there is a lot of things that need to be brought up to light, and and in my own personal life right now, it's there's a lot of doubt and questions going on professionally with me, and I'm trying to understand where I stand. That was weird to say, but trying to understand where I stand professionally, what to look for in the future, and I'm very guilty of this, and I know this, and I've been trying to do my best to correct it. But I live in the future. I live nonstop in the future. What's going to happen 6 months from now? What's going to happen a year from now? What's going to happen 2 days from now? And it steals my moment of the present. And so in that sense, I'm enslaved. I'm enslaved to the future. I'm enslaved to my own humanity, of what's going to happen 6 months from now, to the point of where I'm now sitting in my chair, not acknowledging the things around me, not taking in exactly what's happening around me, not enjoying my surroundings, not enjoying my moment. Before I know it, my 2 days off on the weekend are gone. I'm back at work on Monday. I didn't get to enjoy me as Bryan. I have to go enjoy myself as Mr. Fox, the professional. And let's face it, that's not a happy place.
No, I know. It's like we come in here just to work and be that slave, because, and again, I got to tell you, even Jesus came in and said, threw up the tables of the money exchangers, and didn't want people to give their energy to that slavery, because that does enslave us, and still to this day. Money isn't, what everyone wants to say, the root of all evil. But it does have a supernatural power to it. Because, look, they can just poof, make money appear out of thin air. There is nothing that backs it. There's nothing that we have that is tangible that says, okay, here's some paper, and okay, here's some something. It's just poof, made out of thin air these days. And that's why we in the United States or in other countries, are failing. And the bank systems are going away. It's just, that's crazy. But I do want to give anybody that's in the room here an opportunity to come on. And for those of you that are watching us over on YouTube, we do have a link up there in the chat room that is to our live chat here on Google Hangouts that you're more than welcome to come on over and share your thoughts. It's just me and Bryan talking here. we only know what we know. Again, your cause and effect is your cause and effect. What's your cause and what's the effect? If you want to come on and talk with us, let us know. I got Mona and Chris in the room, so if either of you want to say anything, or if you want to come into the chat here on Google Hangouts from YouTube, come on over. There's several viewers over there. Anybody want to come over? Come on. All right, Chris, go ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, good morning.
I didn't want to put it on video because I was so beautiful this morning. I just woke up and I didn't feel like sharing my awesomeness that way.
Whatever. I brushed my hair and put my glasses on.
You look great. I slept really hard and my hair is proof of that, so I'm just going to keep that to myself. I just want to say, I don't think that karma is what everybody else says it is. I really feel like it's just like, okay, this is going to happen, or whatever happened, and then, how are you going to deal with it, right? Like, how do you choose to deal with that, and then how can your soul grow from this particular whatever it is? I don't think it's like, oh, you did this to me, so I'm going to do it to you. I feel like that's petty. It's stupid.
That's revenge. Yeah.
It is revenge, and I feel like there's so much going on right now with that. And oh my God, that's another conversation for another day.
Joking me. No, that's today's conversation, because everyone wants to think that's karma. Oh, you must be going through that because of what you did. No.
Well, yeah, I don't want to bring that up again. I just find that whole thing ridiculous. Yeah. But it's just, I don't feel like it has to do with that. Maybe, when we're in heaven or wherever, home, wherever you choose to think that it is, we feel so great. And we're like, I could take on anything. Exactly. Right? We write these charts for ourselves.
What the hell were we thinking, Chris? No, I'm just kidding. We say to each other all the time. Because it's like, really? I knew that was going to happen, and I said okay.
I know, right? One day we'll understand again, and we'll be like, okay, we either handled that really well, or we failed. That was an epic fail. But I feel like that is kind of, I don't think that karma really means karma. I think it's just all a big lesson of something. This is our school ground, and we can choose. This is where we have the free will to choose what we're gonna do. I don't think it's like this a tit for a tat. I think that's kind of bullshit. You know?
And that's the other thing. This is the school ground, and bullies have taken over the school ground. Okay, that's the thing. That's how I look at and view it. If you want to look at this as a school, and that planet Earth is our lesson, bullies have taken over. And it's time to stand up and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm not here to learn that anymore. I got that lesson. I get it. Okay, fine. Moving on. We are always moving on. We're always changing. And we need to do that in the awareness, in this flesh, in this moment, in this right now. And take every moment, like we say in class, every moment you have an energy thing exchange happen, you have the opportunity in that moment to transform that energy and to stop the tradition of what it is that's supposed to mean to be in that situation, whatever it is. Stop it right here, right now. No, I know that's cray. I knew but so I'm going to stop it right here, right now, and just say, no, I'm transforming that. It's going to be good. I'm going to have a good outcome from this. And just constantly, we have to constantly do that because it's a constant battle. But, so if you want to say it's a learning ground, we've been infiltrated.
But then again, maybe we've been infiltrated to see how we're going to respond to that.
Yeah.
And I think that, I'm not going to say what I posted yesterday because it's not that I'm stuck on yesterday, but I feel like yesterday is a really good lesson from that. Like, whatever I posted had nothing to do with anybody that got heated. It had nothing to do with that. But my statement as, like, a light worker, like, this shit needs to stop. Like, this, we all need to come together. And it's funny how everybody got involved and got nasty, and it had nothing to do with it.
I couldn't believe that. I didn't get to see it, unfortunately. But at the same time, that's, and all I'm asking now is that we change the label. Because the label is what's got us here in the first place. So let's change the label to, because I went through this, I learned.
Yes.
No, let's just hang on a second. I ain't done. Let's change it to, because I experienced this, it reminded me of patience. Because I went through this, it reminded me of compassion. Because I went through this, it reminded me of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And change it. We got to start changing it. I even want to change the word light worker. I want to change karma. I want to change light worker because I want to change psychic. I want to change medium. I want to change them all because they all just got like this poo-poo energy on them now.
Well, you know what? If I'm gonna interfere for a second because you're right. But you know what? The reality is no matter what we label something, within months, years, whatever time frame you want to put on it, it's going to change anyways. It's going to evolve. The energy will start playing with itself and changing ultimately. So light worker, karma, cause and effect, law of attraction, all these different things have definitions. But I can guarantee you take a group of 5 or 10 people, and those 5 or 10 people are going to have a different definition of what those labels actually mean. And I think that's important because then it comes down to right or wrong, right? Who's right or wrong? If you have 10 different perspectives, who's actually correct? Who is incorrect? And I think that's another big thing too is, again, going back to what I said before, we have to walk in our own 2 shoes. We have to walk in our own 2 feet. We have our own path to walk on. Now, we're all walking in a similar direction, so we can assist each other in that happening and in our direction and making sure that we all get to where we can or where we're trying to get to. But the reality is we have our own path. Therefore, we have our own perspective. We have our own opinion. Different labels mean different things, and and it's getting misconstrued by those who are trying to make others perceive it the way that they do. So karma being a big thing here. Karma has so many different perspectives, and what the few that are trying to change karma to actually mean, which is the universe it's a universal law. So if you do bad, bad will be done to you. If you do good, good will be done to you, and that's not the case. And that's my perspective. And we have examples all over the place that support both perspectives, if you will, but it all comes down to self-intuition and the way that you self-perceive your life, your actions, and those around you.
Well, and we also have those sayings, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? We also have the saying that if mama's happy, everybody's happy.
There's truth in this.
And I think that I'm saying, and those sayings are good because they make you think of someone other than yourself.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you walk around just thinking it's all about me, I'm here for my lessons, this is my destiny, it's all about me, that's your ego, and that's edging God out. So if you walk around and you think, well, hey, do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? I want to be happy. And so if being happy in this moment right here means that you're right, well, then God bless you.
Yeah.
You're right. And so I'm happy.
I've had several events happen at work where things were said that would have normally created a defensive reaction by me or from other people's perceptions. Are we frozen? You froze. We good?
I did freeze. I'm good.
Okay. Well, anyways.
But I hear you great.
Okay. We're good on the backup monitor I got over here. But anyways, what I was going to get at was, people look at me in shock when something was said. And I'll just give an example. We're in a group meeting. There's about 30 of us. And my division that I represent solely was put on blast. And everybody expected a negative reaction from me or a defensive reaction, and I didn't respond at all. I kept it neutral. Mm-hmm. And here's why. Because if you work close with me and you know who I am, you understand how I am, it doesn't matter what kind of blast or what kind of humility you want to put on me. I don't feel the need to stand up and defend myself. Now, I may go on a lower level and shoot some torpedoes that, may not be seen by everybody, because in my opinion, putting you on blast is not the best way to defend myself or to respond back. It's okay.
Makes you look guilty.
Yeah, go ahead and put me on blast. I'll stare at you. I'll shake my head. I'll nod at you. But I'm going to get you when all this is done. And I know where I stand with things. I know where I stand on my own 2 feet. I understand the path that I'm on. And I also understand my cause and effect. Also, in addition, and this is where I would like everybody to get to, is understanding where you stand with someone else's cause and effect. I mean, how powerful is that? How powerful is it that you have somebody on the other side of the room trying to bring you down, but yet you have your own mechanism of trying to get through it? And I know that my foundation is strong, and I know that no matter how hard this guy tries to crack my foundation, that I built my foundation, and I have all the confidence in the world that my foundation will not be cracked by those around me. And even if it was, believe me, I will recreate and rebuild and stand strong again. So, I think that's just a crazy thing here. I mean, do we need to stand up and defend ourselves? Do we need to stand up and actually represent ourselves and be right all the time? We're going back to your point here. Do we need to be right, or do we make things be happy? Now, that doesn't mean to stay silent. So don't take my example and say, oh, you know what, just don't say anything about it. No, I did something about it. I just didn't do something about it in the way that he tried to make me do something about it. He wanted me to respond back to him. He might have had an ulterior motive. He wants to put me on blast in front of 30 people. That means he is trying to predict what it is that I'm going to say back in front of those 30 people. It may have something coming at me again that I don't see. This is just my mechanism. That's how I was reading his energy. It's how I was reading that moment. And believe me, it balanced out afterwards. And it made the whole situation go contrary to what he was trying to do. Okay, so these are the things that you need to be a part of. And I'm not always great at it, but I do my best to acknowledge things as they are in the moment and acknowledge the cause and effect by others. So that way I can have some kind of control of my cause and effect, or some kind of control of how they're trying to affect me by their cause. And that's where karma comes in. So, and it's worked for me before.
That's karma. That's cause and effect. not karma. Let's get off that label. It's really starting to bug me. It's cause and effect, because this is what the intention of this other person was, and you didn't feed into it by giving him the norm. The norm is to be combative. The norm is to be just as defensive. That's the norm, because that's the energy play that's happening when we think that we're on a school ground and that we're dealing with just karma. That's the energy play. So now it's cause and effect. No, now in that moment, even if you have those thoughts of disparity, and depression or oppression, you have that in that moment to say, nope, changing it. Not going to respond the way that he wants me to. I'm going to respond the way that I know I need to. And that's what you did. That's cause and effect.
Well, and that's why I don't like getting lost in the labels of it, because you're right, that was cause and effect, and karma is different. But aligned with it.
It's the same thing. But when you say karma, it makes it seem as if that situation was, predestined to be one certain way.
Well, that's
but
the
if
problem.
You say cause and effect, then it gives it a different, the possibility that things could have changed, things can be different.
Well,
that's where we need to move towards. Get away from the labeling of and move towards the actual meaning.
I agree with you, and I agree with you, because karma again goes back to what we were saying. It gives you the illusion that it's out of your hands, and it is out of your hands if you're blind to it. It's not out of your hands if you're acknowledging it.
Exactly.
So you're going to move from powerless to powerful. Powerless to empowerment, rather, not powerful, because we are a part of our higher power, or we're a part of our creator, and that's where we pull that source from. So that's all about the empowerment of that. I agree completely.
See, I love it. We start out as a he says, she says, and we can come together in acknowledgement that this is a possibility. Not go off of here and then go, okay, that's it. This is the way it, because no. The future is forever changing. That's the awesome part about being here and understanding who we are. It is forever changing, and it doesn't have to be a certain way, because that's the way it's been. We get to change it, and that is only if we are present and in the moment and understand cause and effect. So if anybody doesn't have anything else, I'd like to go ahead and leave it at that, because there's really no more than we could say. We start repeating ourselves, people. We don't like to repeat ourselves, but we do it on a consistent basis just until you get to know what it is that we're dealing with here. That's what this show is all about. And so I just love that you guys have come in and joined us this morning and came on with us and talked. We want to be open forum, common chat, is so we can all come together in a common goal to chat. Whatever comes out. I love that we're all different and we all have our own perspective, because in the end, we can come out and say, I respect you for your opinion. I respect you for the way you're living your life. You go you, and I'll go me. And together we're going to get in that cause and effect, and it's going to be better. And so I'm happy to see you guys too. Yes, get your stuff going and come on with us. Like I said, come over to Facebook, join us at Paranormal Psychic Network, where all of the links for our live chat room are posted, so you guys can come and join us in the mornings and on Wednesdays when Christina and I are on with Paranormal Psychic Show. All right, girls and boys, appreciate you. Love ya, and have an awesome week. And pay attention again to your synchronicities, and then come back next Sunday and let us know how you experienced your moment of now. Say goodbye, Bryan.
We'll see you guys later, and for those of you watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe to Solona's YouTube channel, Solana0156. Like the videos, contribute to the conversation, and we will see you next Sunday.
Yay, bye. And we are clear.